Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today, doing the Champions Report on the WBC title. That's the World Boxing Council. That's the green belt. Right now, it's pretty much, on average, the best championship out there right now in terms of the fighters holding the belt. And, Champions Report, guys, I do 122 all the way to heavyweight. I break it down, go over the fighters and the titles themselves, and let you guys know, give you updates. I do it every couple months. So this one, we're going to start at 122 super bantamweight, and we look at the undefeated champion, Luis Nery, who is good to go for Saturday, May 15th. He is going to defend his WBC title for the first time against the undefeated WBA regular champion, Brandon Figueroa. This is a big-time matchup right here between Nery and Figueroa. I can't wait to see it. It's main eventing a Showtime card. And these two guys, I think it's going to be a straight-up chuck fest. These guys are just going to throw a lot of punches. Prediction on the fight, I think Brandon Figueroa is going to be the new champ. I think just his size. I think skill-wise, Luis Nery is probably a little bit ahead of Figueroa. But the fact that Figueroa is just naturally bigger, he's big at 122, and Luis Nery is had moved up in his previous fight and fought Aaron Alameda, and he actually struggled a little bit more than I think people expected him to. So maybe he'll find his legs, maybe he'll win this fight. Obviously, he's confident that he can win this fight, taking on Figueroa. So it's going to be a good matchup. Saturday, May 15th, main event, Showtime. 126. Oh, with the winner, I'm sorry, I forgot to add, the winner of this fight looks to be lined up to unify belts with undefeated WBO champion Stephen Fulton Jr. On September 11th. Stephen Fulton's already penciled in, and they're saying the winner of this fight is going to fight him. Granted, they don't get injured or anything in this fight. So, big time reward to unify belts for the winner, too. So, that's a good one. Again, Saturday, May 15th on Showtime. Okay, 126, featherweight. Champion there is Gary Russell Jr. Now, his next fight has not been finalized, but we know it's been agreed to, and it's going to be between, Gary Russell will make a mandatory defense against undefeated former junior featherweight champ at 122, Ray Vargas. So that's going to be a good one. In terms of on-paper matchups for Gary Russell, this is one of the better fighters that he's fought since he's become champion. Obviously his win over Johnny Gonzalez, still the biggest win of his career. Joseph Diaz was a good matchup that he had going in. Ray Vargas is like on that level in terms of going into the fight. I think Ray Vargas is going to give him some trouble, because Ray Vargas throws a lot of punches, and he's actually a pretty solid boxer. He can stand back and box himself. Now, Gary Russell, obviously the favorite, but I think it's going to be a good matchup. The fight has not been finalized, but I think it's going to take place in the June to July area, but have not heard anything concrete on it. I'm hoping by the next Championship Report it's at least good to go, or at the very least they know when it's going to happen, in principle. But I'm hoping we have a date by the next Championship Report, and we should. 130 super featherweight, champion there is the undefeated Oscar Valdez. He just captured the belt in February when he knocked out Miguel Berchelt impressively. He's the new champ. There was talks about him possibly fighting Jamel Herring, who is expected to give up the WBO belt. But right now, Bob Arum said he's going to have him fight. I forget the guy's name, but he says he's going to have him fight this undefeated Olympic gold medalist that beat Oscar Valdez in the amateurs, that he's going to have him fight him next on the way to a showdown with Shakur Stevenson, who is expected to be the next WBO champion. Now, none of that is shaken out yet, but I think Arum is trying to play it smart, because Jamel Herring will give Oscar Valdez a little bit of trouble here. And why take that risk when they have a big showdown against undefeated Shakur Stevenson lined up? So that's kind of where Bob Arum's looking at it. I get it. I don't like it. I'd like to see him fight Herring, but I get it. And I expect by the next Championship Report for Oscar Valdez's fight to be signed, his next fight to be signed and good to go for July or August is what I'm seeing. Okay, 135 lightweight. We have two champions there. We have the franchise champion, the undefeated and undisputed champion, Teofimo Lopez, and we have the quote-unquote regular champion, the undefeated Devin Haney. Now, they both have fights coming up. First, Devin Haney defends his belt in a mandatory defense on Saturday, May 29th, when he takes on Jorge Linares, the former 3-division world champ. Actually, I'm not 100% if that's a mandatory fight, but he's fighting Linares. This is going to be his chance to pass his test to see if he truly is a legitimate lightweight and fighter, and how far he can go. Jorge Linares, very accomplished, very good for his age still. I think he's 34, 35 years old, and this is going to be a good matchup right here. I can't wait to see it. I think it could go either way, but I think Devin Haney will prove why he is expected to be something special. I think he's going to win a hard-fought but deserving decision. He could knock Linares out, but I think it's going to go to the scorecards. But he could win by knockout. But Linares, I think Linares has a chance to pull off a decision win here too. Linares is very, very good, guys, and has always been very good. But he got knocked out a couple times earlier on, and since then, being knocked out by Vasily Lomachenko, and then trying to move up to 140 and got knocked out against Pablo Cesar Cano. He's lost 4 or 5 times, all by knockout. So he isn't given the love for his talent that he has, because he's been derailed a couple times. But Linares is very good. It's a very good matchup. Saturday, May 29th on DAZN. Should be good. Check it out. Now, the other champion at lightweight is the undefeated, undisputed champion, the franchise champ, Teofimo Lopez. Lopez is set to make an IBF mandatory defense where he'll put all 4 titles on the line against undefeated George Kambosos on June 5th, main event of a Triller pay-per-view card. I think Lopez is going to blast out Kambosos on June 5th and retain all 4 of his belts. So that's it there. Again, Saturday, June 5th, Triller pay-per-view. Check it out. Next, at 140, champion there is the undefeated and unified champ, Jose Ramirez. He holds the WBC and the WBO titles. He's attempted to become the 6th man of the 4-belt era to unify all 4 titles and become undisputed champion, when he takes on undefeated fellow unified champion Josh Taylor, who holds the IBF and WBA super titles. Huge fight, Saturday, May 22nd, ESPN. All 4 titles are coming together. I can't wait to see it. I'm predicting Josh Taylor to win the fight and basically become your new WBC champion and unify all 4 belts. But I definitely think Jose Ramirez has a solid shot of pulling off the win here and becoming world champion, becoming the undisputed champ himself. So it should be good. Saturday, May 22nd on DAZN. Next is the 147-pound welterweight title, which is currently held by undefeated and unified champion Errol Spence Jr. He holds the WBC and the IBF titles. Now, Spence is looking to unify more belts in his next fight. It looks like him and the WBA super champion Yordenis Ugas are on a collision course. The fight hasn't been formally announced, but we know that Showtime was talking about putting it on the undercard of Charlo versus Castaño for the undisputed super welterweight title, because that's taking place in Charlo and Errol Spence's home state of Texas. But as of right now, I think Spence, is a main event fighter, and he's going to be put in a main event on either Fox or Showtime, and he'll take on Yordenis Ugas. By the next Champions Report, we should have that fight finalized and good to go, so we'll see. Next, at 154 super welterweight, the champion there is the reigning 2-time champ, Jermell Charlo. He's also the unified champion right now. He holds the WBC, IBF, and WBA super titles. He is on a collision course Saturday, July 17th, Showtime. He'll try to become the 7th man in the 4-belt era to unify all 4 belts and become undisputed champion, when he takes on undefeated WBO champion Brian Castaño. This is a great matchup right here for Charlo, and a huge opportunity to become an undisputed champ. So big time fight, biggest of his career in my opinion, and it's going to be good. Saturday, July 17th, Showtime. By the next Champions Report, I'll give my prediction. 160 WBC champion there is the undefeated Jermall Charlo. Charlo has signed his next fight Saturday, June 19th, main event of a Showtime card. He's taking on I think it's Javier Montiel, I think the guy's name is, but I don't remember his name because honestly this is a joke of an opponent for him. Montiel has lost 4 times He has not looked well against guys that aren't even on Charlo's level. Charlo's coming off his biggest win, in my opinion, beating Sergey Derevyanchenko, and I'm surprised that he took on a guy like Montiel. But then again, I'm not surprised. He had a padded resume and was brought along and protected very much so by the PBC. And I think he wants a showdown with Canelo, so I think he's going to try to keep that resume undefeated until Canelo or Triple G sign on to fight him. I don't think he's going to risk it against anybody else. Even David Benavidez at 168. So I think that's what he's going for. I think he knows that Canelo is likely going to fight in September against another PBC fighter in Caleb Plant for the undisputed title. And I think he wants to make sure he's still undefeated by the time that happens. So Saturday, June 19th, showtime. I think Charlo's going to knock out Montiel in the first few rounds and hold on to his title. We'll see. 168 super middleweight, the champion there is the unified champ Canelo Alvarez. Canelo holds the WBC and the WBA super titles. He is set to return Saturday, May 8th, main event of a DAZN card, as he attempts to unify belts again when he takes on the undefeated Billy Joe Saunders. He's the WBO champion right now. This is going to be a good fight Saturday, May 8th. I think Canelo is going to unify belts and push forward towards an undisputed world title fight against undefeated Caleb Plant, the IBF champion, come September for Mexican Independence Day weekend. Canelo has to win on May 8th, but once he wins, in my opinion, he's going to, I believe he is going to announce the fight with Caleb Plant right away. So look forward to that Saturday, May 8th on DAZN. 175, champion there is the undefeated unified champ Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev holds the WBC and the IBF titles. Beterbiev, it's looking like, is going to attempt to unify belts against Joe Smith Jr., the WBO champion, in his next fight. We have not heard anything concrete on it yet, but I'm hoping by the next champions report we at least know that these two guys are on a collision course against each other. So that's what I'm pushing for. I like the matchup. It's going to be a good one if they do fight, and hopefully the fight's announced and formally or close to being announced by the next champions report at the end of June. 200 cruiserweight champion there is Ilunga Makabu. We still haven't heard from the WBC who he is going to fight next. He's supposed to have two mandatories due. Both would be rematches against number one contender Tabiso Mashunu, who Makabu knocked out years ago in a contenders bout, and also Alexei Papin, who Makabu barely beat by a majority decision in 2019 to become the number one contender. So we don't know if he has to fight Mashunu or Papin next, but I do believe that we're going to know by the next champions report who he does have to fight, and I hope the fight is formally announced because he last fought in December. The next champions report is coming up in June, at the end of June, so that's 6 months. So I'm hoping we know what Makabu is doing next, at least going forward, and I hope that fight's signed because I really want to see both rematches, especially the Papin rematch. And finally, the WBC heavyweight title. Champion there is the undefeated Tyson Fury. We know he's on a collision course with the two-time unified champion Anthony Joshua to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, unifying all four belts. That's the biggest fight of the year. They've already agreed to it. It looks like the fight is very close to being finalized. They're trying to decide on a date. Eddie Hearn has said the end of July, early August is when this fight's going to happen. And it looks like by the next champions report, we should have this fight finalized and good to go. So hopefully that is the case. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.